I think I'm recording. I'm trying something new. Want to start going for runs in the morning when I'm not working somewhere else. And so I'm going to walk the tricky part, and then I'll run the not tricky part, and whatever. I got to cut stuff back here, so it's going to not be very good, maybe. So anyway, Professoranton, he made a video. It's good. I was actually going to make a video response to one of his other videos, and so he responded to my video just because he did one against the Conference Report's video on suffering. And yeah, it was completely incomprehensible for me. But I got this last one he did. To me, I wrote down stuff, and lots of good keywords to deal with. Sorry, I have to look at the ground because I might fall down. Happens, and the camera will, and well, it'll happen. It won't be pretty. So anyway, first off, he starts off with like, my expectations are too high. And it's not like my expectations. I mean, it sort of is that obviously when I think something, it becomes part of what I inevitably will feel. And so when I look at the world and I say, okay, let's pick it apart, and I realize that, okay, this is a pretty color green. Now I know that my perception of a pretty color green, because I'm intelligent, I know this, is completely arbitrary. It's a conditioned response. This could be any color, and the shape and the configuration could be vastly different, just depending on how I'm programmed. Life experience, but also just the nature of the beast, how we've been built to find this environment conducive to our comfort. Because that's where we live. That's where we feed and fuck and do all kinds of things. So, trees. Anyway, so this word expectations, the expectation is imposed by logic. I mean, logical, like I said, it's a definition of the whole value equation we end up back to. But yeah, I expect a universe to meet some sort of minimum functionality standards, because we have expectations. We live in a world where we make things that work. We don't make things that don't work. If we make a plate, we make it round. We make it so we can clean it. We make it functional. And the universe doesn't create that way. Life is not functional. I mean, it exists. It replicates. It perpetuates. But its basic functionality is kind of sucky. It abuses it. It wastes suffering. And that's the key line here. So it doesn't meet, by my definition, a minimum standard of plate-like functionality. It's not cleanable enough. It's not slick enough. It's not. It's too heavy. It's too. I'm just saying, by any standard, so we could judge it like we would judge any device or thing we use in our life. I could pick up a rock and use it as a hammer, and it would be more functional as a hammer, a dumb, stupid rock, than life is as a functioning mechanical device in a world, because it's wasting so much of this valuable resource. So by that standard, we have to do better, is my argument, to meet a minimum standard. Ultimately, my argument is zero-sum game. We're fucked. We can't perfect this beyond cleaning up the mess created by the existence of our own addiction, our own need. And so it really is a trap. And you did mention even the word addiction in there and said that it's an interesting concept. And I think it is the concept that, really deserves a lot more attention, that we exist, self-justifying. And that's part of the addiction. And it really is comparable to a heroin addict or something else who will accept some very dysfunctional life that we can all judge to be dysfunctional, way below optimum, way below acceptable standards, merely because they're addicted. And I'm arguing that the human race has accepted not just a mediocrity, but a flat-out failure because of its addiction, because it can't see past the addiction, and the fact that it has aggrandized what is a silly concept perpetuated to a bizarre extreme, sentience, complex consciousness, intelligence that creates the illusions of beauty and meaning and purpose and accomplishment and all of that. And as I stated, I think that's pretty much all bullshit. So anyway, it's time for me to start my little whatever it is fitness thing. So a little pastoral stream view for you, and I shall be back shortly. Thank you very much. Back. Had to walk it off a little bit. It's a little out of breath, so I didn't figure for that part. As I get in better shape, it'll be less of a problem. So anyway, all right. The next line was, "Best is the enemy." They're doing a little work over here. Truck has a little gas problem. Anyway, that the best is the enemy of the better. And I'm certainly not one who's made a whole lot of videos saying, well, let's give up and not try to do anything to fix anything or any of that kind of crap. So obviously, it's a good idea to fix whatever we can, whenever we can. But the biggest fixes we can make is curing the disease. That's how I look at it. So you can look at it as much like in medicine. Where is your money better spent? Curing a disease or treating a disease? And I might argue that cures are always better investments in the long term. So the cure for what ails consciousness in the human race is a big giant birth control pill. That's the fix, is to stop this nonsense and to do it gracefully and deliberately and humanely and all that crap. But it really is game over. We ought to just admit it. The fat lady sang 1 billion years ago when the first organism said ouch. The fat lady started singing, because that's when the game ended. So better is not good enough. Well, of course, I just argued that. Yeah, but perfection has always got to be the goal. That's the rational goal, isn't it? To perfect things. People are afraid of that word, but it's it's perfectly logical to try to optimize. How you doing? Out hunting fish. Anyway, fish hunters. Having some fishing derby tomorrow. I'll probably go to it and watch the spectacle. Anyway, perfection. Yeah. So there's nothing. It's not a bad word. It's a good word. And ultimately, we've got to strive to maximize the efficiency equation. And again, my argument is we can't win. It's a zero sum. Another runner guy. So anyway, alright, deal with the word addiction. Yeah, well, you did a little, and I appreciate that. You actually said the word, so that was good. But that's ultimately what we're talking about. This is not anything more than an elaborate game being played out in our little psychologies. There is nothing. There's no dragon to catch. There's no perfect high. There's nothing. There's just chase, and at a huge, preposterous price. And we're chasing nothing. We're chasing the illusion that somehow, like that squirrel, whatever he's after, the girl squirrel, the nut, whatever, he ain't ever going to catch it. He catches it today, he'll be right back in the same tree trying to catch it again tomorrow. And eventually he might be doing it with 3 legs, and then he might be doing it with a big giant infection in his back, and in horrible pain, and struggling to meet the competitive demands, and well, whatever. I won't go in through all the potentialities of horror. Okay, yeah. So that addiction word got you talking about love and joy and compassion and beauty and all the other bullshit terms that are really just frivolous, trivial fluff. Yes, they mean something to us, but again, they only mean something to us like the color green means something to us because we're programmed that way. It's just programming, and it's not engineered. It's not some brilliant programmer. It's a crude, dumb programming. Love is so superficial. Beauty, just